Good morning, happy solstice. It's the first day of winter. And today we're going to make meat pie using moose and pork chunks. Right now I'm doing the crust, the pastry, to put it in, and it's going to have to sit in the fridge while we do all the rest of the stuff, and I'll let you know what the ingredients as we go by. But for the pastry, it's we've filmed this before when I made butter tarts. Good old no fail tender flake pastry. Recipes on the inside of the box. Follow it, you cannot go wrong. So here, once I get this all mixed up, 5.5 cups of flour, 1 egg, a couple of tablespoons of vinegar. Mix it up to make 1 cup and put it together, and that's it. So once we get this mixed up with our egg and water mixture, we'll put it in the fridge, start grinding the meat, and I'll figure out what kind of spices I'm going to put in. But I also add, like most meat pie or tortilla, or as the tortilla as the French call it, has some potato. I like to use carrot only because it's seasonal and it gives it a nice little color. So I will use potato and I will use carrot. It looks nice when you cut it.
So why do you have to put it in the fridge?
Pastry is good if you leave it too warm, it falls apart and it's hard to roll out. But I always put the pastry in the fridge before I use it. I have to get it into a couple of balls and it'll go in the fridge and come out, and then we'll roll it after. It's the last thing we do. So while you're grinding the mousse, I could peel a carrot and put them on, because that all has to be, everything has to be kind of cooled off. Okay, I got 2 packages of mousse, which we call stewing meat, and it's kind of semi-frozen, be easy to cut up.
Yeah, it should be easy to cut that. And the grinder likes them cold too.
We have to put pork in because mousse is very lean.
Yeah, it would be a very dry pie.
Bowl for anything?
Yeah, I need something to put the ground meat in.
Okay.
I don't know if I can. I don't think that'll fit underneath here. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna give it a rinse out then?
Yeah.
And I'll cut this into pieces.
Some of it might be, I'm not sure how it was cut. Got the mousse from my daughter, so sometimes she cuts it up in chunks and then wraps it. She's going to make a stew out of it or something.
Definitely no frostbite or anything. It looks good. Should make some good pies.
Yeah, it fits.
Have to cut it in small enough pieces to go into the meat grinder, because we don't have a huge meat grinder. I'm using a medium cutter blade. I don't like the fine. It's just too fine, like mush after. I'm hoping that's coarse enough to make a nice burger.
And we're just using ground pork that came from the store, so we didn't have to grind the pork.
Yeah. It adds just that little bit of fatty content, so it doesn't not dry. Because there's no fat in this stuff. It's very lean.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna peel a carrot. Maybe 2 carrots. And potato and cook them.
Oh, they gotta be cooked?
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say we could just put them through the grinder. But not if they gotta be cooked.
No. 1 carrot's good. Just more or less for a little color. It's Christmas.
Okay, I'm gonna try grinding this and see what happens.
Do we have potatoes downstairs?
Yes. Should be half a bag of potatoes. I was playing with it earlier. I left it turned on. It wasn't plugged in, it was turned on. So I decided to use 2 carrots only because one ended up being a half. And I'm going to cook them first and later on we'll mash them. And we've got 4 little potatoes here. Then we'll have a whole bunch of onion that we'll cook with the meat. And you could continue making the noise with the grinder there. Okay. So that's it for our grinding, I guess.
Yep. Get the pot in there. Do you know that if you cut your carrots like this, they cook faster? Okay, we got the carrots and potatoes on boiling over there, and once they're boiled, mash them up and cool them off. But in the meantime, I'm going to chop some onion. We're going to use 2 onions and 1 shallot, and that will be fried with the moose meat and the pork. I'm guessing this is about 2.5 pounds of pork, and we're going to, of moose, and we're going to do exactly about even split 2.5 pounds of pork. So that's in the fridge. But normally I put half of this and then 1 pork, some onion and some spices, which I'll explain later. In the meantime, I'm just going to get these onions sliced and the shallot. I've never used the shallot before, but because we have so many and they're going to go bad, I'm not going to be cooking that much over Christmas, so, except for Christmas moose meat pie. Crying onions. I think they use that in movies too.
So what does your shallot look like? It's still an onion, but it's different.
Yeah, it's nice and firm.
Yeah.
And they're a little strong too, so, which is good. They have good flavor.
Are you just gonna chop them all up?
Yep. Well, some people like to have their onions long and stringy. However, my kids never used to like anything with onion, and so I used to always chop them up as small as I can so they didn't have to sit there and pick them out. But now that they're a little bit grown up, I will leave them a little bit of the size. I guess they're more than a little grown up, right?
A little. They have kids of their own. Now you gotta worry about the grandkids.
Yeah.
But they're gonna like it when you cook it.
Actually, that's only half, eh? Oh well.
You have 2, don't you?
Yeah, but I take half of that and put one with this. I can't cook them all at once because I want to make sure that the pork is cooked. So we're going to cook this half and half at a time. So I better get my other stuff ready, my spices that I put in.
And the reason you're going to cook it half and half is because...
So I want to make sure that the pork is cooked, because...
a lot of meat in the pan.
And it's not... I don't have a great big kitchen. So what I'm going to cook this with is... I need garlic. That's half for the other half. Put it there for now. Where's the garlic? Oh, we'll use this. We'll use this chopped up one.
It's faster.
This is what you call a dumpling spoon. You scoop out your dumplings with it. It's actually handmade by a late uncle a number of years ago. It's probably about 50 years old. I think I got this when I was about 20, in my 20s. Well, now I told my age.
I find it very useful.
Yeah, it's good for cooking meat. Leave this. I'm gonna start this here. There should be enough fat in this that I didn't put any oil in. So that was one package of ground pork, and we're going to put half of this moose in there. So probably there's more moose than there is pork, because after all, it is a moose meat pie. Maybe we better add a little bit of olive oil here, just so it doesn't stick to the pan.
Another cloudy day, but as you can see through the window, there's no snow out there. Hopefully in time for Christmas.
Not if we're traveling. We can wait till after.
Yeah, I can still have for Christmas. I got new tires now. I can travel in the snow.
And we're going to put some salt and pepper to taste here. Try not to mask all of the moose taste. Oh, that's about a quarter of a teaspoon. Pepper is...
Christmas dinner this year is being held at one of our daughter's houses. It should be good. We don't have to wash dishes after. Even though I don't mind washing dishes when we're here.
Pepper. Because it's Christmas, a little bit of poultry season. Oh, that's about a teaspoon. Half a teaspoon. Some half a teaspoon of thyme. Teaspoon of garlic, heaping one.
That'd be like what, 4 cloves or something?
Yeah, probably. We are going to put some Worcestershire sauce in it and some HP sauce in it, but I usually add that near the end when it's starting to get cooked. It is a very long process because you're cooking everything and you have to make sure that your pork is fully cooked. When you're cooking it in the oven after, and putting it in the oven, basically all you're cooking is the pie crust. So I make sure that all of the meat is cooked. Once it's cooked, it'll get cooled before I put it in a pie crust. Process usually takes many hours. You can see how this mousse is so dry, and even though I put some olive oil in there, there's very, very little fat at the bottom. So I am going to have to add some more olive oil because I don't want it to get too dry. So we'll put a couple of tablespoons in. Just fries it better. Yeah, I did say that you're cooking just the pie crust when you put it in the oven, but I also use an egg to bind it together in each pie. So depending on how much meat I'm cooking, it's usually about 1 egg per pie plate. So we'll measure that out when we have everything all cooked. For those that do not like wild game, you can always use ground beef. And sometimes I have used ground beef if I don't have any moose or deer. Once I tried making this with, because deer is more of a fatty meat than moose, I used deer and moose half and half, which makes it kind of a different, really gamey taste. But it was good for those that like wild game. See, if you notice now, we're starting to get some liquid in the pan, and that's basically from the fat of the pork. There may be some from the virgin oil extra virgin oil that I use, but actually it's very little. So once this is all cooked, and I'm comfortable that it's cooked, I will drain it. Put it into a strainer and let it sit there so that it's not too liquefied. What you don't want is your pie crust all soggy at the bottom. You want to be able to cut a piece, take it out, and eat it with your hands. So we're putting in some Worcestershire sauce here, just some flavor. I like this when I cook meat. And we'll put some HP. Actually, you should be putting whatever you like. I mean, I like Worcestershire and HP, as well as some poultry seasoning. And I like carrots and a bit of potato, but I've made it also with carrot and turnip. I've made it with squash, and basically It's sort of like a binder and a filler. Your pie goes a little bit further. Tastes good. Actually, because there's more mousse than there is pork, it still has a little bit of dry flavor. But once we get the binding in, it'll be good.
Hot.
Hot, yeah.
Good, yeah. Should make good pie. Yeah, I can see that little bit of a dry. That's how you know it's mousse. But it's not dry. It doesn't like.
Oh no, it's not dry. It's just the texture is a little different because the grain of mousse is much more heavier than
Yes.
the pork.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut some of these a little bit smaller. Get this ground pork out of this package would be good.
Did your parents make this type of pie?
My parents? My mother, my stepmother did.
So this is handed down throughout the dinner.
Actually, because my dad was not a hunter, and occasionally we would get mousse from neighbors or, relatives, she never ever used mousse. I didn't start using mousse until after my father-in-law was a big hunter, and that's where like deer and moose and everything else. Actually, he wanted me one time to make pie out of mostly out of beaver, and beaver has a very pungent smell when you cook it. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. Sorry, I don't mind cooking moose and deer, but I'm not cooking beaver. I did one time make him pie out of rabbit, and I'm not really sure what the other meat was, but I made it for him. I know it was rabbit and partridge and something else was in there.
Wild game.
Yeah, well, basically that's all we used to eat for my early year, when my kids were little. In fact, one day, we used to always grind up our moose and mix it with pork fat. Just, you go to the store and they'd actually give you the pork fat. So we'd grind the moose and mix it up, and I put it in 1 pound packages, and I used moose for everything. I used moose for meatballs, for sausages, for spaghetti, sauce, everything. One day I forgot to take out a package of meat, and the kids wanted spaghetti. So because I was in town and working all the time, and I picked up a package of ground beef from the store and fried that up quickly and made some sauce, put it in the slow cooker to be ready to go home, and the kids had said they didn't like it, and they were upset. And said, I'll bet you we made that spaghetti out of that moose meat. We know we don't like moose meat. And I went in the garbage and pulled out the hamburger package and said, no, this is ground beef from Tomboy's, and this is what you're eating. You've been eating moose for the past year with your spaghetti. So I think their attitudes changed after that. They used to say they never liked it. Now they just love moose meat. Spices in here. Cook it with spice here. Garlic. Salt. Where did I put my pepper? I think I said a spoon or half a teaspoon, so we'll try and get a half teaspoon at a time. Half a teaspoon of poultry seasoning. That's kind of a big half a teaspoon. Need pepper. I did have it. Pepper. And we don't need these anymore, so we'll put them in our trusty, my trusty spice rack. These actually came from the dollar store, and I just labeled them with office stuff. And I always, every once in a while, I'll put them in alphabetically, and then my assistant chef here will put them wherever he feels like it.
Wherever there's a spot.
Wherever there's a spot. So. Oh, the potatoes and carrots are cooked. Had my girlfriends over here once making meat pie, and there's 4 of us, and none of them want moose, so we did it with beef and pork, and they kept on asking me for the recipe, and I said there is no recipe, but you better start writing down what I'm doing, because that's the way the recipe goes. Actually, any kind of meat is whatever kind of spices you like. Some people will eat this after, would put ketchup on it. Some people will put HP sauce on it. Other people will put tomato chow chow. You'll probably put kimchi.
I like
This is
ketchup too.
This is kind of like a traditional Christmas Eve supper for us. We'd usually have a slice of meat pie and a salad. Do you need to taste this one to see if it tastes the same?
Nope, I'm okay.
You believe me?
My mind's stuck on kimchi. The last bottle we bought was not good for some reason. Have to make some more, buy some. When we bought some last time, it wasn't good. Paid enough money for it.
I like it with tomato chow chow, but I never make tomato chow chow for it. Or even salsa. I think the salsa you made would be good.
We have lots of salsa.
Yep, they're good. Doesn't need any more spices. Try not to make it too salty because some people always put salt on their stuff.
Yeah, without even thinking, hey, just salt.
So we got, that'll probably make 3, maybe 4 or 5 pies. Depends on the size of the pie plate. I'm hoping that it at least make 4, because the pie crust that I've got made earlier, that you saw, will hopefully make 4. We're gonna let this drain and cool. And we're gonna, our carrots and potatoes are cooked.
Pretty steamy over there.
Yep. We're gonna mash these up just with butter and parsley, or milk and parsley, depends. We'll see how they mash. And we're not whipping them, we're just gonna mash them so that they're little, you know, the little bit of chunks that you were kind of looking for in shredding them. So we're...
You mash them here?
Yep. The carrots just add some really nice little mixture of colors interwoven between the meat. It's not a necessity.
Or enough for flavor and the color.
Maybe it is mixed flavor, I'm not sure, but put some salt and some parsley. This is probably about 2 cups, but we'll put about 1/4 cup. Instead of mixing it all together, I'm gonna just see how much there is so that people will have an idea how much to put in what. Yeah, that's 2 cups.
So now what do? You put all that into the fridge to cool it all off?
Yeah, and then we put the pie dough, or the pie crust, and put them on the inside there, and we'll cook them. So basically, this has got to cool, and the meat's got to cool, and it doesn't have to be cold, but cool.
Cool.
So that the reason for that is if you're putting it hot in the pie crust, then the moisture and all that, then the bottom of your crust, it's all soggy.
Yeah, then we'll melt it short and lard.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll
Come back when you start crusting.
Yeah, we'll come back then. See you soon.
Okay, next step, you saw me mixing up this pie crust previously, this was at the beginning, so now we have to roll it out and put it in the pie plates. I've got 2 dishes here. My orders were for 2 mousse pie for my daughter, so we'll make 2 mousse pie. If we have extra, we have extra, and we'll figure it out.
How thick do you roll it for?
Oh, I like thin crust. I like thin crust pizza. I like thin crust pie. Some people like thick crust. But we're going with a regular, ordinary, regular.
Cool. Made that seem easy.
It is once you get used to it. Yeah, I always try and use a little less flour in here, and then it gets more in there. The recipe says 5.5 to 6 cups of all-purpose flour. I barely use 5.5 when I'm mixing it, because I know I like to put flour here, and I don't want my pie crust to stick to anything, and it comes out nice and tender and flaky.
Yes, everybody always likes your pie crust. Because it is flaky. I know some people try ginger ale and all this stuff. I don't think it's needed if you make this recipe.
Yeah, it doesn't say ginger ale. Tender flake doesn't say ginger ale. Might short this one a bit. Not really. Now, before we make the tops, we're going to fill them. The filling must be cool by now. And so we got a measuring cup here. The meat and the potatoes. I need a bowl. Or did you put that other one in the dishwasher?
No, I didn't.
Next size to this. Okay, this will do. We're gonna put 4 cups of meat. Four cups of the meat and onion mixture. To a 1/2 cup of the potato carrot mixture. Seems like I almost measured that correctly. going to use an egg to bind it. I was sure I got a piece of crayon. I did. The egg will help the things all hold together. So you can see the little carrot colors.
Yeah.
Makes it look a little festive.
Can smell the spices from here. Smell good.
These are 10-inch deeper pie plates, so might not get all 4 cups in, but we'll see. We're going to pat it down. It'll be really tight. Oh yeah. Heavy pie.
Well, I would suggest I go get 2 pieces of bread and toast it and put some of that on the toast and ketchup and
You mean you want a meat pie sandwich? You and your sandwiches.
But I'm just kidding.
Okay. Can always make a little one if there's any leftovers. And there will be a little bit of leftover. That could actually go, you take that, put that over there. Now we're going to heat the oven up to 350. Could use that pastry cutter to mix it up too if you want. Makes it easier, but this works. Just takes a little bit longer, but if you're in a hurry, just use the pastry cutter and it'll mix it up like crazy. Okay, I need to wash my hands here. So I can play with the pastry again. We don't want any bits of meat that I splashed around on the top crust.
Yeah, it wouldn't look good. I don't think it hurt anybody, but it wouldn't look good.
Okay, now we want an egg. Some people use milk to put on the top of their crust or to put it together. I prefer to use an egg. Seems to work. Now I'll roll the top up. Try to make my tops a little bit rounder so that they're easier to put on, but never really works all the time. Sometimes you just get carried away with stretching the dough. And the tops I put on, if you notice I put the bottom on there, but we're gonna have this just fine. Okay, put some slits in your, I quartered it. Put a little bit of egg on here so it sticks nicely. Voila.
Looks cool.
And we'll do the same process with the next one. Here's where I get creative with my dough. Whatever I have left over, we could make something else. With my pastry, I should say.
You mean like butter and sugar and cinnamon?
No, like tarts.
Oh, tarts.
There's a lot of it left. Well, we actually had enough filling. There's not as much potato and stuff in there, but we are going to get 3 pies out of this batch of mousse. So we'll do that. We're going to add that one after. For now, let's finish off these 2. Since I already got the crust made. Put a little bit of thyme on there. Take the ones off the bottom. A second rolling without adding more. Hoping I got enough. Well, that was sneaky. Okay, there's my third pipe right here. I need an egg for that. I didn't put an egg in there yet. I remember. Before I fill it up. Or we'd have this pie that's
Crumbly.
I sure would like to know where I lost my, probably in one of the moves, my quartz rolling pin. It was, see here I have to put some weight. I didn't need to put any weight in that.
The ceramic one?
No, it was the same as our crib board. What is that, stone? Ivory.
Yeah, it would have a lot more weight. Yeah, I've seen that marble crib boards from way up north. Eh?
Yeah.
sure what stone that is. It's all nicely carved.
Now for the egg.
We're just talking about the crib board. This is the crib board. Beautiful, all hand carved.
From the Inuits.
I don't know how artists can work like that and do that. Beautiful.
Okay, now back to the pie. I now have realized that I had enough for 3 pies. So we're gonna make 3 pies.
Perfect amount.
Yeah, that was about 2 pounds of mousse and about a pound and a half. No, yeah, about a pound and a half of pork. Three potatoes, 3 small potatoes, 2 large carrots, 2 onions and a shallot, and spices. And you could spice your pie to whatever you want. If you're not partial to garlic or poultry seasoning or what, you could just use it salt and pepper for all intents and purposes. It's just whatever you like. And I like frying beef. The majority of the time I fry beef in Worcestershire sauce, so that's where that came from. And I do eat HB sauce, so it's always, and I like the flavors of that. It's totally up to you. And we'll cook these at 350. About 45 minutes to an hour. It depends on, once the crust gets nice and golden brown, we can assume that the crust in the bottom is the same. It's cooked. And mind you, because basically the only thing you're cooking is the crust and the egg. Everything else has been cooked. Put it into a quarter and cut. If you want to get fancy, you can draw a moose on there, but I'm not that artistic. These are foil plates, so I have to kind of put my finger in there for bringing it down. Otherwise, I use my thumbs and do it without having to hold it. The little aluminum foil, because I'm giving these away, will do. And we got enough pastry here to do some little tarts. Could make some little crispy jam tarts. Could do some butter tarts. And our oven is heated. And we'll just, this helps make your crust a little flaky as well. And I won't waste this leftover egg. You know what I am going to do?
No.
I'm going to whip up some brown sugar with this egg and make some tarts. Yes, so in the oven she goes. They go for 45 minutes to an hour. Middle round.
Smell's gonna make me so hungry now.
You didn't even have breakfast.
No, that's okay. So now we just sit and wait.
You're not even gonna have these. No. Yeah, we've got to come back at. We'll come back at 45 minutes and we'll check, see how the crust is. Other than that.
And if you want to know how to make butter tarts, we have another video. Have a look at it.
Yeah, the butter tarts are already on the channel, so hopefully you will take a look at that. These ones here, I'm just going to use this pastry up, and because it is Christmas, I usually make some jam tarts, and I can put marmalade in them. I got some blueberries, some fruit, so we'll just make a whole bunch of little ones with different things, and we'll see how they are. Or I could dig in a pantry and find a jar of mincemeat, but then it's not homemade, and stick them in there. So, but nonetheless, it will be used. Oh, there's a dinging here. That means it's been in there for an hour.
Originally, you're gonna.
I was gonna go 45 minutes, but I thought, 1 hour I'll do.
Yeah, top looks nice. Nice color.
Oh, I guess I can shut that off. Because when you freeze them, you end up putting them in the oven again too, so a lot of the times.
Well, I can't even say good because I don't get to eat them, but they sure look good. I know they'll be really tasty.
Okay, with the leftover pastry, got some little butter tarts, one tray, 1 dozen of butter tarts, and mini ones, mini jam, and mini butter, whatever I had left.
Cool, I get to eat them.
You get to eat those. We'll put these on for 25 minutes.
Well, thanks very much for putting on this cooking show for moose meat pie.
Christmas moose meat
Christmas
pie.
meat
It's
pie.
only at Christmas I make moose meat pie. So hope you enjoyed the recipe, and hope you'll try it out. If not, just remember, it's all to your taste, whatever kind of meat you want to use. But we use moose meat in ours. This is Christmas moose meat pie. I only make it at Christmas, and I only use moose meat and pork, but I have made it at other times with ground beef and pork and whatever. Nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you'll subscribe, and we shall see you on the next one, and have a very Merry Christmas. I know we will.